In this video, we're going to discuss radians and degrees, which are two commonly used units of measurements for angles. And you can see the picture there and the relationship. What we want to know is that 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. So we're going to say 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. And we can use this information either as the ratio 180 degrees over pi or pi over 180 to convert from degrees to radians or radians to degrees. So for each of the following angles, draw the angle in standard position, convert to radians, name the reference angle in both degrees and radians. So we have 315 ends up in quadrant 4. If we do 360 minus 315, we get 45-degree angle. Now, your reference angle, if you recall from last time, is the acute angle made with the x-axis. So it's 45 degrees. So let's convert this to radians. Then we'll go back and convert 315 degrees to radians. So we have 45 degrees. We're going to use the ratio pi, because you want radians, over 180 degrees. So if we take 45 divided by 180, we get 0.25. We want a fraction, so that's 1/4. So your answer is pi over 4 radians. And we just don't write radians. So let's take 315 degrees times pi over 180. So we're essentially going to do 315 divided by 180. And we can do the fractions or use the calculator. I'm using the calculator to find this. And I get 7/4. So that is 7 pi over 4. So 315 degrees is equal to 7 pi over 4 radians. 45 degrees is equal to pi over 4 radians. Now let's talk about negative angles. We have not looked at these a lot. So a negative angle just means that instead of going counterclockwise, we're going to go clockwise. So I'm going to do 90 to 120. So this is 30 here. Now be careful. That's not your reference angle. Your reference angle is 60. So we're going to take negative 120 times pi over 180. And if you recall from fractions, we could reduce it, divide by 6. So we're going to get negative 2 pi over 3. So if I confirm on the calculator 120 divided by 180, I get 0.6 repeating, which is indeed 2/3. Negative because, again, you're going clockwise. Okay, your reference angle is 60 degrees. That's in degrees. So we're going to take 60 times pi over 180, which is pi over 3. Again, that's in radians. So 60 degrees is equivalent to pi over 3. All right, we're going to do the same thing. For each of the following angles, draw the angle in standard position, convert to degrees, label reference angle in both degrees and radians. So look here, we have it in radians, pi over 4. So I'm going to convert that first. We're going to use ratio 180 degrees over pi because, again, pi over pi divides out. 180 divided by 4 is 45. So if you recall, this is also your reference angle. So 45 degrees times pi over 180 is equal to pi over 4. So notice your answer and the conversion to degrees, 45 degrees, are the same. So again, if we sketch it, that's pi over 4, 45 degrees. I tend to work better in degrees. Okay, negative 4 pi over 3. So I'm going to convert this to 180 divided by pi. So 4 divided by 3 times 180 is negative 240. Again, we're looking at an angle that goes clockwise. So you have 180 here. We're passing 180. So notice we're in quadrant 2 this time. So let's see, 240 minus 180 because we've gone 180. And once again, is 60 degrees. So that gives us a reference of 60 degrees. So negative 4 pi over 3 times 180 over pi is equal to negative 240. Now I'm just going to double check that math there. And that's a 60-degree reference angle. Notice your reference angles are always positive. You want to take degrees to radians. So that's equal to pi over 3. Because 180 divided by 60 is 3. Or if we do the math, we get 0.3 repeating, which is pi over 3. Use a calculator to convert each of the following to degree measures. So that means these are in radians. So we're going to take 3 times 180 degrees over pi. I'm going to go ahead and set the ratios on both of these. Because if you notice, whether you have a whole number or a decimal, to convert to degrees, it's 180 over pi. So 3 times 180, I'm going to use the pi button, divide by pi, is, let's see, we want to round to the nearest tenth of a degree. So that's approximately 171.9 degrees. We do 0.32 times 180, divide by pi, that's approximately 18.3 degrees. All right, give the exact value of each of the following. Now, let me go ahead and see cosine, secant. Okay, so this one here, it will be 1 over cosine of 5 pi over 6. Now, these are radians, and I know we haven't gotten to the unit circle first, or yet. So what we wanted to do is I'm going to go ahead and change these to degrees. That just really helps me. So basically, I'm going to do 180 divided by pi each time. So if I do 5/3 times 180, I get 300 degrees. So basically, I'm looking at cosine of 300. That's a little easier for me to draw. So we come around. So that gives you a 60 reference. And across from 60 is root 3, 1. So in this case, we get cosine of 5 pi over 3 is equal to 1/2. Because remember, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so now we have 5 pi over 6. Six goes in 180, 30. That's a 150-degree angle. So now we're looking at quadrant 2, 30 reference, because that's 150. 180 minus 150 is 30. Crossing 30 is 1, 2, root 3. Okay, so cosine of this angle, or we could just flip it. So cosine of 5 pi over 6 is adjacent over hypotenuse, so negative root 3 over 2. Because remember, in points, that's negative 3. So secant of 5 pi over 6 is equal to negative 2 over root 3. Okay, notice on number 9, the negative is outside, so my answer is negative something. Okay, pi over 6 times 180 over pi is a 30-degree angle. That's good news because that's also my reference angle. 2, 3, 1. Oh, I have this backwards. Across from the 30 is 1. And root 3 is across from the 60. So cosine is root 3 over 2, but it's negative because of the negative sign out front. Okay, last one is tangent. So let's go ahead and convert that. So we have 3 pi over 4. Notice the pi over 4s are converting to 45-degree angles. That's 135 degrees. what I should have said was a reference angle of 45. So this is 135. This is 45. So opposite 45 is 1, 1, root 2. And again, I'm putting the signs in for the actual, as if it was a point, not the distance, because we know distance is always positive. So tangent of 3 pi over 4 is negative 1. So that's what we have for using reference angles and radians and degrees to find the trigonometric function values. Next time, we will look at our circular functions, also known as the unit definition 3 of circular functions, which is the unit circle. Have a great day.